Hello and welcome. You're listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment. In this segment, we're going to be speaking with Christina Perkins. She's joining us here as Vice President of Product Management and Strategy for NaviNet to talk about some news surrounding the No Surprises Act requirements and the deadlines. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. Christina Perkins, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Neil. I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
Great. Well, I mentioned, of course, your Vice Presidency of Product Management and Strategy for NaviNet. Give us a little bit of your professional background and briefly talk about what it means to be Vice President of Product Management there.
Sure. So NantHealth is an organization that provides enterprise solutions to help businesses transform all the complex data in healthcare into actionable insights. NaviNet's particular part in that is related to helping payers and providers exchange all the essential information to make a patient's care happen, whether that's verifying benefits or managing the status of claims, assuring prior authorizations get handled. So I've been a leader in this space and specifically with NaviNet for over 18 years now. And I've seen an awful lot of changes in the healthcare organizations that we're working with and in the industry as a whole. Technology has advanced incredibly. And with the introduction of solution or requirements like the No Surprises Act, that I absolutely applaud. It's just pushing the boundaries on the technology requirements for the industry tremendously.
Well, give us a look into what the No Surprises Act is.
Fundamentally, it's all about ending surprise medical bills for patients. So empowering them to make informed decisions about the provider that they're seeing or the services that they might have done when there's an impact to the cost of that care. But critically, also, it's about removing the financial burden from the patient when they don't have the option to choose which provider they see or what services are done. For example, in an emergency situation where they just need to go where they go, or if they're having surgery and the anesthesiologist isn't an in-network provider with their health plan. So the patient now is not going to carry the burden of that unexpectedly.
Normally, how is a patient informed of what's going on with their benefits?
You know, they work with their providers a lot. The provider tends to be the advocate or the provider's staff, helping them understand their benefits. They'll also work with their health plan, but often they don't know. For an insured patient, they don't know what it's going to cost until they get the bill after the fact, right? And the health plan and the provider have all negotiated out their payment rates and reimbursement, and everybody figures out, well, what's left that is the patient responsibility. So the No Surprises Act, and particularly the advanced EOB requirement in it, is intended to give the patient and the provider, to a degree, information ahead of the service about how that's likely to all play out. So it's effectively processing a claim before any health care is provided to estimate how much the patient's likely to owe.
Talk briefly about what the downfall or the challenges were when it came to an EOB. I mean, everyone seems to have access to the EOB. Why was there such confusion or misinformation prior to the solution there at NaviNet?
Sure. Well, the advanced part of this requirement is really the key here. There are all kinds of processes in place today to make sure that when a patient has care and their provider submits a claim to their insurance company, everybody gets all of the information that they need to understand who owes what and who's getting paid what in the end. All those processes are in place today. The advanced EOB requirement says that all has to happen before the healthcare is actually provided, right? So now providers have to submit an estimate of the services and the charges that they're going to bill to the health plan before they, when they schedule an appointment, before the appointment happens. And then the health plan has to process that in as little as a day in some cases and get a copy of that EOB back to the patient before their appointment happens. So this is basically doubling that claims workflow that all happens today, because now it has to happen after the service so that everybody gets paid, but it also happens before so that people know what to expect to get paid or to have to pay. So it just adds to the administrative churn, in my mind, that we're going to see in the industry. And all of the vendors are scrambling right now to figure out, well, payers have to upgrade their claims systems. Providers probably have to upgrade their practice management systems to be able to make all this information flow in an efficient way so that it's not a huge burden on people doing a lot of work where processes are already in place to allow the systems to do it.
And obviously not having to be as concerned about some of those processes and information as a patient, from a patient standpoint, when you're worried about the procedure and recovering from the procedure, having to worry about the explanation of benefits and all of that as well.
That's a really great point, but I think it's also a bit of a double-edged sword, right? It's fabulous that we want the patient to have this information about what their care is going to cost in advance. However, are they just going to be confused by it? Like, why are they getting something that looks like a bill before they've even been to their appointment? Mm-hmm. Or do they end up, because it's going through the U.S. mail, are they not even getting it until after the appointment happens? So the whole intent of it is moot. I saw the results of a survey that was commissioned by Change Healthcare in partnership with Healthcare Executive Group. This just came out recently, and health plans have indicated that 80% of the health plans who participated in this survey said that this No Surprises Act, and particularly the advanced EOB and other price transparency requirements, are expected to have a moderate or worse impact on their customer support teams. So they're expecting both providers and members to have questions and be calling them and looking for help understanding all of this information that will be available. So we have a little bit of a information load problem.
So basically, NaviNet just offers a very easy way to get all that information coordinated for the benefit of the provider and the patient at the same, and the payers as well.
Right. Yeah, we're really responding to the spirit of the legislation. Let's help the providers, give them a simple path to request an advanced estimate when they need it. So not necessarily triggered automatically by an appointment being scheduled, but when their patient might ask for it. Give the health plan a quick, consistent way to receive that request, and even give the health plan's customer support staff a channel where they could enter the request the same way a provider might, so that on the back end at the health plan, all those requests can be processed the same way. And then make sure that the provider gets a copy of the advanced EOB so that they can be that advocate for the patient. So now the patient's going to get it in the mail or through their patient portal, and the provider is going to have a copy of it, and they can work together on what's the best course of action for the patient to pursue.
Christina, give us a website where our listeners can learn more about NantHealth and about NaviNet.
Sure. You can find all the information you might need at nanthealth.com, NantHealth.com.
Christina, it's been a pleasure speaking with you this evening. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Neil. I really enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Christina Perkins, Vice President of Product Management and Strategy for NaviNet. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download it SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Health Professional Radio.